making decisions that are in the best interest of the American public and are not in the interest of any personal finances and financial decisions that they make. So I'm pleased to announce today that we're going to be taking what I believe is a historic step forward on legislation that will ban members of Congress from trading stocks. Senators Merkley, Hawley, Ossoff, and I have come to a bipartisan agreement on legislation. And as chairman of the Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs Committee, I will be putting this legislation on our committee's next markup later this month, which right now is scheduled for July 24th. This will be the first time that a Senate committee is considering legislation to bar members from trading stocks. This bipartisan agreement is built off of Senator Merkley's Ethics Act, and it includes key provisions that will prohibit bad actors from being able to take advantage of their positions for personal financial gain. These provisions include barring members of Congress, the President, and Vice President from buying and selling a range of stocks and financial assets, including securities, commodities, futures, options, trust, and other comparable holdings. We also will require federal elected officials, their spouses, and dependent children to divest of any of the banned assets beginning in 2027. It will also increase the fines for violations of the Stock Act to $500 each violation. And it will also, for the divestment of assets, any members who do not divest assets will also have penalties associated with that. I'm certainly grateful to Senators Merkley, Hawley, and Ossoff for their leadership on this issue and for working with me on this common sense bipartisan agreement that strengthens accountability for the public and gives Americans the peace of mind that Congress is always working on their behalf. And I'm committed to passing this bill through my committee with the help of two of my colleagues here, Senators Hawley and Ossoff, who are members of the Homeland Security Committee, and we look forward to moving it out of committee and making it one step closer to becoming law. And by taking this historic action, I hope we help to build Americans' trust in government and give them full assurance that the men and women who serve here are always taking their interest first and foremost. I'd like now to turn over the podium to Senator Merkley.
Chair Peters, thank you so much for your leadership in bringing us to this point. We've been a long time getting there. It's some 12 years now since Senator Brown and I introduced an amendment and had a vote on an amendment to ban stock trading back in 2012. That amendment did not pass, and we've been working to take on this challenge ever since. And my colleagues, Senator Hawley and Senator Ossoff, have both been significant contributors to this conversation, dwelling in the minutia of various bills, trying to resolve the factors to find a path forward to take on this egregious practice. And when I say it's egregious, let me just say it's corrupt in two significant ways. The first is we must be here to serve the public, not our portfolios. And Americans are well aware that time after time, the portfolios of members of Congress do better than the S&P 500. There's even investment funds that mimic the investments of members of Congress because of this phenomenon. So people are aware that senators and House members are benefiting from privileged information they may get a little earlier than the rest of the world, and they do not like this. But even more importantly is the conflict of interest. The idea that you own a portfolio that concentrates in fossil fuels or renewable energy or bank stocks or pharmaceuticals, and you are writing legislation, preparing amendments, or voting on bills that affect those investments. Again, we must be here to serve the public, not our portfolio. And the American people agree. In a poll last year by the University of Maryland, a national poll, more than 85% of Democrats, more than 85% of Republicans agreed that we should ban stock trading. When do you get nearly 9 out of 10 members of both parties to agree that something should happen? That's how deeply Americans understand that this practice needs to come to an end. But the practice is still rampant. Members of Congress made 11,500 plus trades last year. They traded about $1 billion worth in stock. So it is very present, and we've had scandal over scandal during the 12 years that we've been working on this issue. You know, at this time, when we're concerned about the integrity of our institutions, and many of us are talking about reforms that should happen in other branches, including the Supreme Court, let us think about the reforms that need to happen right here at home. We should set the example. We need to end stock trading, and we need to do it this Congress. Thank you. And now I'm pleased to introduce Senator Hawley, who, as I mentioned, has got into the details, has prepared his own legislation in the past, and has come together on this unified approach to get a bill through committee and prepare it for the floor.
Thank you, Jeff. Well, thanks to all of my colleagues. Thanks to Senator Merkley for his long leadership on this. Thanks to Senator Ossoff, who I've worked with on this in the past. But I particularly want to thank Senator Peters, because Senator Peters has had the unfortunate task of dealing with me for the last 10 months on this issue. And really, I want to thank Gary for working, in some cases, literally around the clock to reach an agreement on this that will be tough, that will close the loopholes, that will close the avenues of avoidance, that will impose real penalties. The truth is, Congress should not be here to make a buck. Congress should be here to serve the American people. There is no reason why members of Congress ought to be profiting off of the information that only they get, that the rest of the American people don't get. And I don't care, even if you don't have so-called insider information or information not available to the public, why should members of Congress be spending their time day trading rather than focusing on the priorities that the American people sent us here to achieve and focus on? I mean, it's really simple, and you don't have to explain it to anybody in America. The only people you have to explain it to are here in this building. The only people who don't seem to understand why stock trading should be banned are here in the Capitol. Every American gets it, and they're right to get it. There is no reason why the personal profit of members of Congress should come first. It should come last. It shouldn't be a consideration at all. And I'm proud to say I think this bill takes a giant step forward to getting to that place. I think it's a tough bill. I think it's a serious bill. And I'm proud of the fact that it's going to be voted on in Senator Peters' committee. And I look forward to voting for it. I hope that we can make sure that it stays good and strong, and we'll be able to do something here meaningful on this issue for the first time ever. So thanks again to all of my colleagues for their leadership on this, and I look forward to having this vote in committee really soon. Thank you. Great, thank you. And I get the privilege of introducing the man who's the youngest member of the United States Senate, Senator Ossoff.
Thank you. Well, thank you all for joining us. Thanks to Chairman Peters for his leadership in helping us to navigate this negotiation. Thank you to Senator Merkley for his long commitment to this necessary ethics reform. Thank you, Senator Hawley, for your contributions and your passion. This is a historic moment in efforts to reform the ethics laws that govern Congress. And across the state of Georgia, Democrats, independents, Republicans overwhelmingly agree that members of Congress should not be playing the stock market while we legislate and while we have access to confidential and privileged information. This is long overdue. This is necessary. That is why, as I pledged I would when running for the Senate upon entering office, I introduced with Senator Kelly the Ban Congressional Stock Trading Act. That's why I've been pleased to engage in this long and productive bipartisan effort to craft a path forward. And we're now in a position with Chairman Peters' leadership to bring this to the Homeland Security Committee. Again, this is long overdue, this is necessary, and this is a major step forward to have agreed a bipartisan path to ban stock trading by members of Congress. Chairman, we look forward to the markup in the committee, appreciate your leadership, and I know that Georgians of every political persuasion in every part of the state will be pleased to hear that we are making progress as promised tackling this issue. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Senator Ossoff.